hate this article. I hate every single thing about this article because what it shows is that Junichi Masuda cucked to the Pokemon community, and that is the worst case scenario. I never understood why developers ruin their own game, ruin their own vision just to cater to the toxic, disrespectful, vocal people inside the community. It just makes no sense. Because Pokemon Let's Go, when you really break it down, everything about it is a true Pokemon adventure, a true Pokemon experience. Removing wild Pokemon battles means nothing, because when you think about it, you throw a quick ball to catch most of the Pokemon anyways, so you're not even engaging in battles. Everything else is a one-shot for EVs. Wild Pokemon battles don't matter. People are calling the name stupid, even though Let's Go on an Adventure is pretty much the most Pokemon thing you could say or put in a Pokemon title. So really, anyone that doesn't respect Pokemon Let's Go just doesn't respect Pokemon, and they aren't true Pokemon fans. That's just the fact of it. So let's see what we have right here. Pokemon boss Junichi Masuda on keeping hardcore players happy, borrowing from Pokemon Go, and Let's Go story. This is the worst case scenario. Keeping hardcore players happy. No, because the hardcore players are the ones ruining your game. The hardcore players are the ones that are just hacking and trashing everything about that you have built and have no respect for the spirit of Pokemon. Also, you can still be a hardcore player, but still respect Pokemon. The problem is that has just shifted way too much, and the weird thing is, Pokemon has gotten easier, so I don't understand this quote. I'm always concerned that we take Pokemon too far, that it's no longer approachable. No. You want to talk about no longer approachable? That's Generation 4 before we had the Destiny Knot, and the IVs were super ridiculous. Same with Generation 5. Like, that was harder EV training and IV training than we saw in Generation 6 and 7. So with Generation 7, it has been more approachable than any other Pokemon game competitively, but because you listen to the people that are already competitive and not even playing the game, they disregard the battle tree, they disregard all the features, and then they hack even though it is easier to play Pokemon now than ever. So that's why, like, I understand Pokemon Go and Let's Go being an integration, that Pokemon Go players, they pick up Let's Go and they go into the game, and I don't even feel that that's necessary. Then when you think about it, Pokemon Red and Blue, people have jumped in blind to this franchise at all points, but now society and the communities and just overall people's attitudes are in a pretty terrible, entitled spot. So I understand why it needs to be done, and I'm happy with a casual Pokemon game, but I'm not happy why it's being done. I'm not happy that they announced the competitive game alongside it. Can you elaborate on smartphone and Switch connectivity? Not really related to the discussion I'm having in this video, so let's go on. Do Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee work like the main series with exclusive Pokemon to each game, and will there be trading between the two? Short answer, yes. How does this fit into the series? When it seems like such a clean break, are there any references at all in Let's Go to other games that have come out? Do any old characters return? Unfortunately, all I can say is they're based on Pokemon Yellow version, and more details besides that are something that I hope people will look forward to. I'm guessing that something is the new Pokemon, and probably like Team Rocket. Like, if it's based on Yellow version, that means Team Rocket should be in, so it could have more of an anime relatability, as well as anything else that follows from there. Also, if this is all I can say, if all I can say is based on Yellow version, then that means they might actually add some other things, but they can't give that away just yet. Can we learn about the assessment you made about Pokemon Go and its success, and are there other things you've picked up from Pokemon Go to include in Let's Go? Now, here's the thing. When you watch that press conference, when you watch them talk about the game, Pokemon Go was successful. Like, it's not Game Freak's fault that Pokemon Go turned out to be a pretty terrible game. It's 100% on Niantic for dropping the ball in every aspect. All you have to do is look at Pokemon Go Fest, and you can see that they are a terrible company that has no idea how to manage their game, and there's pretty much nothing from the original Pokemon Go trailer. You watch that Pokemon Go trailer, and that is the spirit of Pokemon. Pokemon Go is everything that every Pokemon fan wanted, because we actually go out and we catch Pokemon. Integrating that into Nintendo Switch is only a good thing. So in terms of first how I assess the success of Pokemon Go, of course it makes me very happy to see Pokemon Go be such a huge success and such a phenomenon. This is another thing that's kind of bothered me, like with the release of Pokemon Go, that it surprised Game Freak, it surprised Nintendo, it surprised Niantic how well Pokemon Go took off, when really all the fans just, you gotta have faith in those fans. So it kind of showed that wavering attitude towards the fan base that's like, oh, all these people grew up. You know, this is just a kid's app game. We're not going to get all the adults that started playing Pokemon getting back into it. It'd be nice, but it's not going to happen. And then it happened. And then it happened times like 1,000. So They're just talking about this, the idea of catching Pokemon, the idea of the Pokeball. So that's pretty much the concept that they were trying to get across, that you throw the Pokeball and that's how you catch Pokemon. And because of that, we really wanted to expand that kind of idea on what a Pokemon RPG could be. Something that's broader for everyone, and that's why we work on these games. That's one assessment of Pokemon Go. The thing is, I feel like the main series games have always been for everyone because that's how it started off. Anyone can pick up Red and Blue, carry it on through the series, jump in at any point, and that's why I really like my channel. That's why I started my channel, is because I wanted to get those players that were casual but wanted to get better and integrate them in. My channel proves that you don't have to give in like this. My channel proves that players are willing to learn, willing to integrate, and you don't have to force it, or you don't have to just completely separate the casual and the hardcore fans. This is going to be a really awkward split because now they went from underestimating the success of Pokemon Go to branching, or to just focusing too hard on it. Because now it's like, oh, we want to keep all these Pokemon Go players and we don't think that they're ever going to integrate, so we're just going to keep them separate. I think that's shown Pokemon Sun and Moon. That Pokemon Sun and Moon, while it did have record sales for a Pokemon game, it didn't kind of follow through with what you'd expect from Pokemon Go. There wasn't a lot of turnover with Pokemon Go, so it looks like they're trying to do this. Like, okay, we're just going to run that streamlined 800 million people that got Pokemon Go, we're just running them into Pokemon Let's Go, and then all the hardcore fans, they're staying over there. Problem is, that's condensing the toxicity unless something is done about hacking, unless something is done about the unsporting behavior and stuff, and then that's not going to make people want to come over. Players watching Let's Go are just going to be like, wow, those guys are dicks. It's Smogon all over again, except now the main series games are pretty much just like Smogon version. That's not going to be good. With that in mind, obviously, there are many people that played Pokemon Go. I think we reached 800 million downloads, so we wanted to create a fun experience for them, but at the same time, make a really fun game for fans that have enjoyed the RPGs up until now. And that's why I like Let's Go. I can look at that and say, yes, good job. So really, it's kind of merging two audiences into one game, and we can all have fun and play. Yes. The problem is, when you say 2019 game for competitive players, those competitive players are just going to say, pass. That if they didn't announce it, you would at least get people that are like, fine, I'll buy it because I buy every Pokemon game, but by announcing the next Pokemon game to be a core series title RPG like X and Y and Sun and Moon, you're just losing those sales, and then people are skipping on to the next one, and I feel that that's not the spirit of Pokemon. If you're making people loathe a game to just wait for the next game past that next game, then you're not really catering to the fans, you're just catering to the assholes that are ruining the community. Now this paragraph is worded a little weird, but the idea is that they want like parents to go out, play Pokemon Go, and then give those Pokemon to their kids to play on Let's Go. So that's kind of like an example that the gameplay is going to be very collaborative, especially between a household, you know, parent and kid, or maybe siblings and stuff, and that's how you just kind of bring it in. There's probably a lot of things, I guess, more subconsciously that did come into development of these games. So I worked on Pokemon Go, for example. I created music for both Go and Let's Go, probably some things that maybe I'm not thinking about that did affect the Switch games. How do you think core RPG players will react to the Let's Go games? Masuda, you better not drop the ball on this one. I know Pokemon Go was immensely popular, but had quite mixed reaction against the more hardcore players. How do you appease those players, and is it more case that they should wait till 2019 for the game that they're after? So the first thing I can say is I've been the director of the main series Pokemon RPGs, most of them up until now, and there are a lot of kind of core tenets or rules of the series that I never broke until now. For example, the whole idea of the flow was going to battle against wild Pokemon, reducing their health and catching them. That was one of the things that we just never wanted to change, but these games specifically wanted to create a new experience for kids, and with this time, I decided to shift that towards a more kind of casual, lighter experience. And like I said earlier, I don't think it makes it more casual and lighter. The way that you make it more casual lighter is stripping the PvP, not the PvE interactions from Pokemon that you just end up farming super fast. So that's one of the things I wanted to do. And one of those things, up until now, in the tall grass, you couldn't see which Pokemon were in there, so a lot of players just kind of avoided tall grass in their journeys, and one of the big changes this time is you can actually see Pokemon before you run in to encounter them, so it kind of changed the dynamic, more of a proactive experience, where you're going out and seeking Pokemon. I mean, this isn't really, like, if they put, okay, let's just say battling was still the same, but this is how you encounter Pokemon, I think it really wouldn't change the Pokemon experience. First off, they've been kind of, with the phenomenons and stuff, and the shuffling grass and like the Pokemon you could see, they've been slowly integrating that, and a lot of fans have wanted it. For the most part, being stuck in a cave or a long patch of grass and hoping that you don't get like 3 encounters in a row that kind of just is bad RNG or something isn't really that fun. And whenever you see the Pokemon, that makes it feel more like an adventure. That makes it feel more like a real Pokemon experience. For me, having worked on Pokemon main series game and Pokemon Go, both the players who have enjoyed our RPGs up until now, all the fans are extremely important to me, but also the people who played Pokemon Go, and that was their first Pokemon game. They're also extremely important to me. And what I really want to do with these games is prevent both of these types of players from going in different directions. I'm hoping that these games will kind of bring them together. Junichi Masuda, why? Do you not know the community? Do you not know what they're doing to your games and how toxic they are? Because this is how you encourage a split. That what happens is they're not going to jump into this toxic, more overly competitive side because they're going to see it as a non-spirit of Pokemon kind of player base. And if you're going to continue this as well, because it looks like there's talks of making Pokemon Let's Go its own side series. That Pokemon Let's Go will run next to the Pokemon core RPG that's competitive and stuff. This is a problem because then that means there's no incentive for the Pokemon Go players to jump over. That the Pokemon Go players haven't jumped over by now. Even with Pokemon Sun and Moon, even with all these other things coming up, even Nintendo Switch, and even if they do go over to Let's Go, I don't think that's going to hard convert them. That really is just going to split it up, because if you only gave them one option, then they would have to make or break it. If it was Pokemon Let's Go, quiet on the 2019 game, everyone comes together, then that kind of averages. That's how you bring it together, and then you move forward only on one path. So that's why I'm worried. So what would make me the happiest is if Pokemon Go players and traditional Pokemon players actually come together and are throwing out Pokeballs together, either with Joy-Con, using their smartphones, really just enjoying Pokemon together. That's all I want too. That is all I have ever wanted in the entirety of the channel. But then when you see the negativity towards the Pokemon Let's Go trailer, that's when you just have to give up on those people. They do not respect Pokemon. And they will never come together. They will never integrate. We have seen this with Smogon. We have seen this with VGC. We have seen this with hackers. They have no respect for the game, so there's no reason to give them any attention at all. That's one of the things I mentioned about parent maybe going out and catching Pokemon, giving it to their children, sharing that catching experience. Quickly following up on that, I know you can't talk about the 2019 RPG much, but you could tell me when the decision first made to develop that game, as well as Let's Go games. Did you decide Let's Go first, then do 2019, and was that decision made to mitigate the risk of more hardcore long-term players maybe not being so into it? Again, that shouldn't have been seen as a risk. If it's a hardcore play, like the long-term players and the hardcore players are kind of two different things. You have the long casual players, which will play any Pokemon game. They have the hardcore players, which are only there to hack the game and then just kind of jump into the hardest competitive scene while trying to skip as much of the gameplay as possible. I don't think that that's healthy to the spirit of Pokemon or the Pokemon community. So it definitely wasn't a risk avoiding thing. Cool. Then why are you doing risk avoidance now? We knew that we wanted to create another Pokemon series, as we call them, for the fans that have really enjoyed the games until now. But the games that we're talking about for 2019, we've been working on those for a while. Same with Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. Part of it is because there's a lot of functionality with the Nintendo Switch we really want players to experience what there is to offer, so we're making two different games at the same time. I think they could have just bundled it all into one and given us the Pokemon Switch experience we thought we were going to get. And specifically for these games, me personally, I want more kids to pick up and play with the Nintendo Switch. That's really the goal for me. But it is a kids game, and there should be kids picking up Pokemon in general. Related to that, looking forward, do you envision there being two series of Pokemon games and say a Let's Go series and a main series like Pokemon Sun and Moon? Are there going to be two, or are they going to come together again? So I'd say there's a possibility, should the games sell really well, and obviously a lot of people play them, but right now we're really focusing on development and just getting a lot of people to play the games in the first place. That still feels weird because you're splitting development to bring them together, to split them up, to maybe split them up if they sell well to bring them together. I don't know. There's a few things you never change in Pokemon Go, but change in Let's Go, with Nintendo choosing to make others like Mario and Zelda more open world. For the next Pokemon, did you want to experiment with more of an open world with exploration and roaming? So Pokemon games, I'm sure you all know, we're always trying to make them fun, appealing to players of all ages, not just older players and not just kids. I wish the Switch was the opportunity to lean a little more to those older players. So I can't really commit either way, but if we find a way, I think it's possible, we'll find a way to preserve the fun and kind of broad appeal of Pokemon and then keep it in open gameplay. Then that is one possibility. Hard to say right now. Well, I guess the question is, how young are the kids? Because I grew up with Super Nintendo, and those games were tough. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is tough, it's fun, but I don't think it's like too hardcore of an experience for even a young kid to play. And then for this, Masuda just talks about difficulty, that he compares it to R-Type, a top-down shooter, that just got more complicated, more difficult, and they don't want Pokemon to go down that same direction. but I don't see how that's happening. Like, if this was the fear, then it should have stopped at Gen 4, not snowball into Gen 5 with this insanity on the competitive, and all they had to do was balance Pokemon Sun and Moon better, and this wouldn't be a problem. If it's easier, like, Pokemon's more approachable now than ever for Sun and Moon, for that competitive aspect, for the level of grind that you put in. What is it, like, 20 times quicker than what it took in 4th generation, 10 times faster than the 5th generation? It doesn't make any sense. Like, are they not watching how people are playing with their games? Said that Pokemon Yellow from 1999, can we find the same story as it was then? One thing I can say is the game world, the overworld, the whole map is very true to the original Pokemon Yellow games. Story kind of sticks to the original beats from Pokemon Yellow. One kind of reason behind this was that the games being released 20 years ago, kind of imagine that maybe some parents who played Yellow version when they were kids will still now have kids of their own, can remember the adventure and maybe give some hints or tips to their kids that are playing the game. That's pretty cool. Blue version's tough. Our parents didn't give us help, but I guess since we are in an easy mode generation, we'll see how it goes. Maybe some other fun things, for example, first gym leader, Brock. A lot of kids maybe grew up with the animated series, not the original Red and Blue series. They may not even know he was a gym leader, so it might be fun discoveries there. What? What? Wait. A lot of kids who grew up with the animated series and not the original Red and Blue series, they may not even know he was a gym leader. I thought that's referenced a lot, but still, that's a little confused. Like, see, this is what I don't like. It's kind of like, instead of having players go back and understand the history of Pokemon, there's just new stuff being thrown at players to satisfy them. And then Pokeball Plus. So I'm pretty sure a lot of my closing statements are my opening statements. This is terrible, in my opinion. I think that this is not how we create a strong community. This is how we further divide it. This is how we create further toxicity. Because now those players are just going to be like, oh, Let's Go sucks. Everyone that likes it sucks. They're just casual, stupid fans. Don't come into our 2019 game if you're not going to take it seriously. Because that's been the attitude of Pokemon up until now. So, I'm just disappointed. I don't really know what to say. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If not for the... it's hard to enjoy this video, honestly, if you're a Pokemon fan. So really, that's where we're going to end it. Have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.